Director Peck? Webb?
I'm right here.
Both of you. Good evening. I would like to call to order the April 7th City of Little Rock Board of Directors meeting. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those watching at home or streaming online. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Miller, Director Richardson, Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Lewis, Director Campuris, Director Phillips, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Wyrick, Mayor Scott.
Present. Now let me recognize our city attorney who will give the invocation. Briefly.
Please join me.
I'm just joking, Tom.
There are people watching you, Mayor, that hope that you were joking. I want you to know that. We come together tonight to discuss issues that affect us as people living within a civilization, within a local community. We come from different backgrounds and different experiences. We come with different interests and different points of view. But the beauty of our coming together tonight is that all of those views can properly be addressed, and the issues that are decided will be done on the best interest of the citizens of the City of Little Rock. That is all we can ask of anybody who takes a position of public service, that they be servants, that they not work or achieve things for their own egos or their own excitement, but for the betterment of others. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask Ms. Williams to come join us. Before I give my comments, I want to ask Amber to kick it off for us. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, and Board. My name is Amber Jackson, and I serve as the Chief Engagement and Opportunity Officer here at the City of Little Rock. Thank you for joining us in congratulating Ms. Juanita Williams on her retirement after 25 years of service to the City of Little Rock. And in case you were wondering, because I know you are, yes, she has made it widely known that she was indeed born here in the Rotunda. Juanita began her career answering the city's main phone line in January of 2001. Since then, her path took her from the city manager's office to community programs and finally to our office of engagement and opportunity. This is where she spent her last 5 years. Through every transition, she brought the same steadfast passion for centering and serving our residents. And through it all, she raised 4 daughters, no small feat, alongside a 25-year career in public service. To say our team will miss her is an understatement. Her sense of humor, humility, and most of all, institutional knowledge are simply irreplaceable. But thankfully, she has chosen to share her personal phone number with me. Juanita, thank you and congratulations as you choose yourself in this next phase of life.
Thank you.
Juanita, I won't add much more but to also share with the members of the city board not only her dedication of 25 years, and yes, she started when she was about 5 or 6 years old here at the city of Little Rock, but she has such great passion for what she does. That passion instigates energy on behalf of this team, and she's a great representation of the city of Little Rock. And we're grateful for her time well spent and what you've given back to the state capital city. So on behalf of the city of Little Rock, we want to wish you well and many blessings upon your retirement. You do not look like you should be retiring. You can say something.
Thank you, Mayor and Board, and my former colleagues. I just want to say.
Are you off today?
Yes, I retired. I retired on the 30th. I did want to come back and say thank you to all of you. And Mayor, just want you to know that I appreciate you. Your leadership here has helped me to rest, and I feel like I have leaving the city in good hands. So your leadership helped me to feel good about my decision. So thank you. And thank you, Amber, for being one of the best team leads I could ever ask to be a part of. And the city manager, thank you. I feel like our people are in good hands now. So thank you to all of you, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. All right, we'll ask the Arkansas Energy Association if you'll join us. As well as our Sustainability Commission. I don't know if they want, we're fine, never mind. All right. Members of the City Board, we want to pronounce this proclamation. Whereas access to dependable energy resources is fundamental to sustaining economic growth, supporting public safety, and enhancing the overall quality of life for residents and businesses in the city of Little Rock. And whereas Arkansas's energy sector played a vital role empowering key industries, including manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, and emerging technologies, contributing to a strong and dynamic economy, and maintaining a reliable, resilient, and cost-effective energy system is essential to fostering continued economic development, encouraging innovation, and attracting new businesses and job opportunities. And whereas the state's energy landscape continues to evolve in response to increasing demand, population growth, and advancements in technology requiring thoughtful planning and strategic investment. And whereas a balanced and diverse approach to energy production infrastructure and innovation strengthens Arkansas's ability to meet both present and future energy needs while supporting sustainability and efficiency. And whereas Arkansas Energy Week serves as an opportunity to recognize the contributions of energy professionals, highlight workforce opportunities, and encourage collaboration among industry leaders, policymakers, and communities to support strong energy future. Now, therefore, I, Frank Scott Jr., Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim April 5th through the 11th, Arkansas Energy Week.
When I was the first chair of the Sustainability Commission, it feels like close to 20 years ago or so, Mayor Scott and I worked together to do the first assessment of the city in regards to sustainability. I was struck then, as I am now, at the extraordinary things that the city is doing in regards to sustainability, but especially for energy. And that leadership rests solely on Mayor Scott's shoulders for some of the innovations that have happened as of recent. We are happy to share at Arkansas Advanced Energy with my colleagues Jill Ballister and Joel DePippa. We are happy to share Energy Week. Our members represent a wide diversity of energy users, producers, efficiency, policy, and workforce, all dedicated to low-cost, reliable energy. And that's why we're involved in a number of regulatory proceedings while also addressing economic opportunities like workforce and finance. We're elated to announce the release of our Arkansas Advanced Energy Industry Report, the first of its kind in the state, providing facts and data, not only for organizations like the city, but also residents, businesses, and industry to help them make informed energy decisions. Thank you, Mayor Scott. Thank you to the board for this wonderful proclamation.
Joel, I like your three-piece. Very, very Peaky Blinders. All right. Oh. Congratulations. Good to see you. We'll now have our National Community Development Week participants, which are part of our Housing Neighborhood Programs Division. Whereas the week of April 6th through the 10th, 2026, is recognized as National Community Development Week, an opportunity to highlight the impact of community development programs that strengthen neighborhoods and improve quality of life for residents. And whereas since its establishment in 1975, the Community Development Block Grant Program has provided critical resources and flexibility to local governments to address community priorities, including affordable housing, public infrastructure, public services, and economic development opportunities for low to moderate income individuals and families. And since 1992, the Home Investment Partnerships Program has served as a vital source of funding dedicated to expanding and preserving, I gotta get that right, safe, decent, and affordable housing for low-income residents. And whereas through strategic investment of CDBG and home funds, the City of Little Rock has strengthened neighborhoods, supported essential services, enhanced public facilities, and increased access to safe and affordable housing for residents in need. And whereas these programs represent a strong partnership between federal and local governments, empowering communities to respond to local needs while fostering equity, opportunity, and long-term sustainability. And whereas National Community Development Week serves as a time to recognize the lasting impact of these investments and to honor the organizations, partners, and the community members who work tirelessly to build stronger, more resilient communities. I also want to recognize, in addition to these team members who are here, both city directors Lewis as well as Miller, who play a vital role in the ecosystem of affordability and housing. Let's all give them a round of applause for National Community Development Week.
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor stated, we're recognizing National Community Development Week. Mayor, Board of Directors, and residents of the City of Little Rock, it is my honor to stand before you today in recognition of National Community Development Week as we set aside time to highlight all of the critical impact of community development programs across our nation and here at home in Little Rock. This week, we proudly join communities across the country celebrating the transformative work made possible through federal programs such as Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership Program funds, our Home ARPA funds, our Community Development Block Grant Disaster Relief Funds that the City of Little Rock received $20.8 million to celebrate the leadership of the City of Little Rock Department of Housing Neighborhood Programs and our Community Development Division. Our staff works tirelessly hard. We did not receive any additional staff, but 2 staff members to work to do the CDBG DR program. And that's $20.8 million we have to get out the door. And so our staff works hard. We work with a little. They do a lot each and every day. We have a lot of programs that we have to administer each and every day. So I want to give them a round of applause for their hard work. Tracy Shine is our Community Development Manager. We have a lot of programs that we'll be doing this week to celebrate National Community Development Week. We'll be out at University District Development partnership, property that we have, they're one of our community development housing agencies that we work with. Also, we work with Better Community Developers as our community development housing organization. Just some of the things that we've done over the past year, as you heard the mayor's initiative about affordable housing and creating those units. So we surplus that goal that he established. Also, we fully expended our home funds for our down payment assistance program. If you know about our down payment assistance program, we provide up to $10,000 to residents so they can get into home with no money down. Also, we provided eviction and homeless prevention assistance to over 100 individuals and families to make sure that they have a place to live. Also, we hosted housing and shelter fairs for homeless, unsheltered individuals around the city. Also providing public service grants, partnering with agencies such as CHI St. Vincent, CareLink, to provide health services and Meals on Wheels to homebound residents. We provided over 10,000 meals and assistance to those individuals that need health services. And then also generating over $1 million in program income by developing affordable housing using our home investment partnership program funds. I know we've done a lot. When I go around the country and speak, I know we have some board members that have been around the country and heard me speak. They are looking at what we're doing here in Little Rock because we're doing a lot. I call it Big Little Rock. We're not Little Rock. So we're doing big things in Little Rock. I appreciate the board for your support, passing all our annual action plans. We have a con plan going on currently right now. We just had a public meeting last night. I encourage you to go to our next public meeting. It'll be on the city's calendar. Please attend those events. It's important that we get residents' input for our needs assessment for our next 5-year comp plan. Thank you, Mayor, for your support and your leadership. Thank you.
Members of the board, we have a few modifications. We have a motion to add M1, M2 to consent, and M3 to grouped, and M4 to a public hearing. There's a motion. There's a second. We'll have to get that. There we go. Push it. All right.
Okay,
Wyatt.
thank you. We have 2 items that are added as a modification to the agenda tonight. And it's to show the franchise fees for water and for sewer to be 10%. And if the board will remember, I brought this up in our budget hearing, or our budget meeting in December, and I said I didn't feel like we could pass the budget because we had some illegal fees, or appeared to be illegal fees to me, because what I'd done was try to figure out my water bill to see what my franchise fees were, and I couldn't determine it because every ordinance I saw said as previously approved. So I went all the way back to 2008 or 2007 when the franchise fees for water were 6.9 and sewer were 5.8. And so here we are collecting the 10%. I got that number from our finance director. So I called Mr. Carpenter. He could not find any ordinances, any resolutions, could not find any memorandums. He spoke to memorandums, but he couldn't put his hands on them. And when I brought it up in the meeting, I was told that I didn't know what I was talking about. And I truly did, because we were collecting illegal franchise fees from 2008 on till now. And in fact, when we passed the budget in December, we passed some illegal franchise fees in that. I talked to Mr. Carpenter and I said, we can't pass this budget because we have illegal fees in here. And he said, oh, well, we'll pass the budget and we'll talk about it next year and we'll fix it. So in the meantime, the board passed the budget. There was a lawsuit filed because we were collecting illegal franchise fees. And so now Mr. Carpenter's going to fix it. And what this resolution does is it says that it is appropriate to charge 10% for water and sewer from 2008 until now. But all those years, we collected illegal franchise fees. The other thing that's happened in 2008, when the so-called budget was approved that had the 10% in there, we did not lay this out for the public to review a week before we voted on it. In fact, the night we voted on it, it was added, just like this was added to the agenda, without any public review. We're doing the same thing tonight. Here we are passing 10%, and we've not laid it out to the public because we're adding it to the agenda tonight. Not only that, we have an impending lawsuit, so I think this is totally inappropriate to add to our agenda tonight.
Mr. Attorney, if you'll share, I'm talking right now, I'm sorry. I'm talking right now. I understand. I can hear you. You're literally right next to me. Mr. Attorney, if you again walk through
Yes, sir.
and remind the director
The two
about things in 2008.
Well, the board should note that the two resolutions tonight are confirmation that since January 1 of 2008, we have assessed 10% franchise fees for Central Arkansas Water and for the Little Rock Water Reclamation Commission. Fees of this amount are authorized by a specific state statute. The City of Little Rock has two ways to increase franchise fees. One is by election, and one is by agreement with the parties. In 2007, we have correspondence between then Assistant City Manager Brian Day and the executive directors of Central Arkansas Water and the Little Rock Water Reclamation Commission, pointing out that it was the city's intention to seek a 10% franchise fee beginning January the 1st. State statute says that a franchise fee has to be on the books for 10 days before it can be collected. These taxes were passed on December the 18th or December the 21st of 2007. December the 31st was the 10th day. The collection didn't start until January the 1st. In addition, notices were sent to every ratepayer within the City of Little Rock by the Central Arkansas Water, which is also the collection agency for Central Arkansas Water and for the Water Reclamation Commission, to note that beginning January the 1st, franchise fees of 10% would be collected by the City of Little Rock. Basically, what we have done in these two resolutions is note that we have been doing it since those dates. At the budget hearings in December of 2007, the question of franchise fees being 10% for water and sewer were a specific part of the documents that were presented to the Board of Directors and that had been presented in public meetings around the city about the proposed budget for 2008. Two people spoke expressly about their concerns about the 10% increase, the increase to 10% of these particular fees, and asked the board to consider not doing so. There are comments from others that have been made that they wondered about that. When Director Wyrick asked me to find a resolution, I couldn't find one that's done in the typical way that our resolutions are done, and was a bit shocked at that. One of the things that needed to be done was to figure out what's going on. In terms of the litigation, we have few concerns about the litigation. One of the important reasons is that a franchise fee is something that's covered by the Public Service Commission and is really not a court case at all. If there is a question about the collection of a franchise fee in Arkansas on a utility, which includes water and wastewater or sewage, then it is to be taken within 30 days of its imposition to the Public Service Commission. Failure to do so waives any such ability to bring an action in that case. In addition, there is a statute that says if there is a challenge about franchise fees on utilities, then the action is simply to enjoin their collection, not to have any type of reimbursement for them. This will become particularly important to this board at the end of the agenda tonight, because that was a major question that was asked as we looked at the capital improvement bonds that are about to be done. There was a great concern at the time this issue came that the city might be in some serious potential position. But since then, and reading all the documents, and looking at the tapes of the meetings, and using the assistance, in this case, of Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings and Miss Judy Henry, we do not feel that way. The city, through Miss Henry, has filed a motion for summary judgment, as have the other two utilities. At the very last minute, before it was time to answer the motion for summary judgment, the plaintiff filed an amended complaint. The amended complaint has been answered by by CAW and by the city of Little Rock, and a motion to dismiss has been filed by Water Reclamation on this matter. I would not bring this before you if I thought this was not legal. I do bring it before you because I think we need to clarify and never again have a situation where our office is not preparing the franchise fee ordinances.
Thank you so much, City Attorney, for sharing that the work that was done by Mr. Brian Day and the late Mr. Moore was perfectly legal, and that's the reason why all of those budgets were unanimously approved since that time, except for last year. Director Wyatt?
You said except for last year. What do you see the difference between last year and the previous budgets?
There wasn't a unanimous approval.
It wasn't a unanimous approval?
No, ma'am.
Are you talking about the number of votes? Okay, all right.
That's what unanimous, yes.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to bring up was that in April of last year, we gave incentives to a data center that was going into the port. And we did two ordinances the way we're supposed to do them. And the one for water, the incentive for water was the 6.5, and the incentive for sewer was 5%. So last year, at that point, we're putting out ordinances that say a different number than 10%. I found those in the ordinances that I pulled up. So I still say that we collected these illegally, and the fact that we did not give proper notice to the individuals, even as today, when we're trying to add this to the agenda. It's either 7 days or 10 days according to the ordinance, the state
No,
law.
The statute is 10 days after passage before you can begin to
There
collect
is
them.
an ordinance or law that says that they should
That's
be
it.
laid out to the public prior to the city vote.
It has to be on the
And
vote.
we've not done that.
It has to be on the franchise itself has to be on the books for 10 days before it takes effect. That's not 10 days before it's voted upon. And the most important point about that is that the resolutions that set the franchise fees for water and for sewer were done over 20 years ago, and they were on public display for that period of time. So the question of assessing a franchise has never been the issue. The question that was raised last year was the amount. You're correct that those two amounts on the ordinances were not correct. That's because they just weren't, and I'll take the blame for that. However, that issue is one we're trying to address. The only reason we're not addressing it tonight is we didn't think we would have enough people to suspend rules.
Okay, so I still stand the way I started this out. There is litigation. I feel like the city has done this illegal taxation without representation since 2007, and I think it's inappropriate to add it to the agenda.
Director Wyke, I truly appreciate that, but I do want you to remember, in all the time I've been here, when we have had a challenge on a tax, I'm the one that said, hold it in escrow until the litigation is over. I would do that now if I thought we were at risk.
This is a franchise fee, It's not a
No,
tax.
it's not a tax.
But we're treating it like it is a tax.
No,
We,
there's-
we pass it and individuals do not know that we're increasing their franchise fees, which impacts their water bills. Are you aware that last year in 2025, we had 11,500 people that had some sort of treatment on their water bills because they couldn't pay them? 6,500 people had to shut their water down because they couldn't pay it. Utilities are very expensive. We're talking about affordable housing, and we don't talk about utility bills. These are expensive to the individuals as well as their cost for rental or housing.
Thank you again, City Attorney, for sharing the facts and the legal perspective. All right. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, you would please read the consent agenda,
Plus these two items.
plus these items, these reference items.
A resolution to certify local government endorsement of J.A. Riggs Track Company, a wholly owned subsidiary of Jacko Holdings Incorporated, located at 9125 I-30, Little Rock, Arkansas, to participate in the Arkansas Tax Back Program as authorized by Arkansas Code, Section 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and for other purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution Number 16,678, May 6, 2025, to reflect a change in the name of the participating entity for the Arkansas Tax Back Program from Headlands Tech Holdings LLC to Arkansas Tech Systems LLC, located at 15900 Arkansas Systems Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, as their participation in the Arkansas Tax Back Program is authorized by Arkansas Code, Section 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to accept a sub-recipient agreement and grant funds from Metroplan through the Environmental Protection Agency's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program for native restoration projects at the Little Rock Zoo and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Pinnacle Consulting Management Group in an amount not to exceed $103,400 for right-of-way and acquisition services for the Markham Street improvements and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the mayor to accept for municipal purposes permanent construction easements, right-of-way dedications, and fee simple acquisitions, and to authorize the city manager to acquire temporary construction easements as needed to complete the construction of the Markham Street improvement project and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Witzel, Evans, and Rasco, PA, doing business as Ware Architects in an amount not to exceed $72,756.25, plus applicable taxes and fees to provide architectural services for the Little Rock Medical Clinic and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into a contract with Johnny L. and Peggy A. Robinson for the purchase of approximately 5 acres of land in a residential structure for use by the Little Rock Port Authority for economic prospect recruitment and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Clarity Pools LLC in an amount not to exceed $85,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for monthly and annual regular pool maintenance and repair services at Gym Daily Fitness and Aquatic Center and Southwest Community Center and for other purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Curtis Construction Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $100,506 for the 700 West Markham demolition project and for other purposes. A resolution to confirm a 10% franchise fee to be paid to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by the Little Rock Water Reclamation Commission beginning January 1, 2008 and for other purposes. A resolution to confirm a 10% franchise fee to be paid to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by Central Arkansas Water beginning January 1, 2008 and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion, is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the grouped items in M3 for the first time. Oh, sorry. Director Webb, apologize.
That's okay. Thank you, Mayor Scott. I have a question on item 7. And I don't know, I guess I'll direct it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if the port has identified a project for this property? And if so, do you know what it is?
At this point in time, the port has a number of different projects for those particular properties, and they're under some disclosures.
Okay, and so hopefully we'll be able to find out what those are.
Yes, ma'am.
soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I'll get that to you. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the grouped items in M3 for the first time.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a plan development residential titled Two Moon Properties LLC from R4 to PDR, located at the southwest corner of Charles Bessie Avenue and Park Lane, City of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to amend Little Rock Ordinance Number 22,140, June 21st, 2020, to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract amendment to the sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated, doing business as First Due for fire service software used by the Little Rock Fire Department, to modify the subscription term and payment structure to a month-to-month arrangement beginning January 1, 2026, and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 3-year contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $736,800 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of ESRI GIS enterprise software licensing to upgrade existing software for a period of 3 years and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Caterpillar parts and service for Caterpillar heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with River City Hydraulics Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Hell parts and service for Hell heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with Siddons Martin Emergency Group LLC in an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Pierce Fire apparatus parts and service for the fire trucks in the city's fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract extension with GovernmentJobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, an amount not to exceed $100,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for the NeoGov platform module subscriptions for continued access to the Biddle Online Test Genius, Insight Onboard, and Candidate Text Messaging subscriptions for a 1-year term from January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a plan development residential titled Two Moon Properties LLC from R4 to PDR, located at southwest corner of Charles Bessie Avenue and Park Lane. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to amend Little Rock Ordinance Number 22,140, June 21st, 2020, to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract amendment to the sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated, doing business as First Due for fire service software used by the Little Rock Fire Department, to modify the subscription term and payment structure to a month-to-month arrangement beginning January 1, 2026, and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 3-year contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $736,800 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of ESRI GIS enterprise software licensing to upgrade existing software for a period of 3 years and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for the Caterpillar parts and service for Caterpillar heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with River City Hydraulics Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Hill parts and service for Hill heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with Siddons Martin Emergency Group LLC, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for the Pierce Fire apparatus parts and service for the fire trucks in the city fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract extension with Government Jobs Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov in an amount not to exceed $100,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for NeoGov platform module subscription for continued access to Biddle Online, Test Genius, Insight Onboard, and candidate text messaging subscriptions for a one-year term from January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
There's a motion, is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, third and final reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development to establish a plan development residential titled Two Moon Properties LLC from R4 to PDR located at the southwest corner of Charles Bussey Avenue and Park Lane. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to amend Little Rock Ordinance Number 22,140, June 21st, 2020, to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract amendment to the sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated, doing business as First Due for fire service software used by the Little Rock Fire Department, to modify the subscription term and payment structure to a month-to-month arrangement beginning January 1, 2026, and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 3-year contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $736,800 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of ESRI GIS enterprise software licensing to upgrade existing software for a period of 3 years and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company in an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Caterpillar parts and service for Caterpillar heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with River City Hydraulics Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Hell parts and service for Hell heavy equipment and machinery in the city's fleet, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year advance purchase order contract extension with Siddons Martin Emergency Group LLC, an amount not to exceed $500,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for Pierce Fire apparatus parts and service for the fire trucks in the city's fleet and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract extension with GovernmentJobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, an amount not to exceed $100,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for NeoGov platform module subscriptions for continued access to the Biddle Online Test Genius, Insight Onboard, and candidate text messaging subscriptions for a 1-year term from January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. We also have emergency clause for 14 and M3. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Members of the city board, we do know there are other board members who have to get to other engagements immediately following this meeting, so we will postpone the annual evaluation of the city manager and the city attorney
Mayor,
until.
we have M4 that we still have to do. It's the public hearing. It's for the capital bonds.
Well, I'll finish. We'll still postpone the city manager and city attorney. Thank you for flagging that for me. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item M4.
Will you open the public hearing?
Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to authorize the issuance of capital improvement refunding revenue bonds, to authorize a trust indenture securing the bond, to authorize the placement of the bond, prescribing other matters pertaining thereto, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
Is there a second? There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to authorize the issuance of a capital improvement refunding revenue bond, to authorize a trust indenture securing the bond, to authorize the placement of the bond, prescribing other matters pertaining thereto, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Second reading.
There's a motion. There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We've had 3 readings.
No, we only had 2.
Oh, that's,
I'm
trying
sorry.
to get us out of here.
I'm sorry.
I know some board members, they want to get somewhere, so I'm trying to help them out. Third reading.
An ordinance to authorize
Aren't
the
I right,
issuance.
Director Pitt? It's the taste of Little Rock, everybody, in trios. Yeah.
An ordinance to authorize the issuance of a capital improvement refunding revenue bond, to authorize a trust indenture securing the bond, to authorize the placement of the bond, prescribing other matters pertaining thereto, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
Thank y'all. We've had 3 final readings. Are there any questions? I'll now close the hearing. Is your question for this, Director? No. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Director Webb. There's an emergency clause, and for all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Director Webb.
Thank you, and this is just an announcement from the Sustainability Office. They wanted to point out that we have a new water dispenser that was donated by CAW, and the hope is that we will reduce our use of single-use plastics, and this would put us in compliance with Objective 1 of the Sustainability Plan that we passed earlier this year regarding single-use plastics.
Thank you so much. That's a big deal, Director Webb. Vice Mayor Wyatt.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens' communication cards?
We do not.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Carpenter, if he's listening.
I am.
Okay, thank you. I would like for you to recite to us what the laws are in regards to religious organizations that will be involved, could be involved in rezoning, zoning, developing subdivisions, and how that relates to the Fair Housing Act. I've had a lot of questions in the last weekend, and I've said what I know about it, but I think it would be good if we could state what those rules are and what the city board has to look at in regards to those types of organizations as they rezone, zone, plan subdivisions, sell, those kinds of things.
The state statutes that deal with planning and zoning, which are the basis for creating the ordinances that deal with planning and zoning, and the planning commission within the city of Little Rock, are basically designed to have compatible uses throughout the city, and zoning and rezoning are done for the betterment of the community in terms of livability. That does not focus at all upon religion. We have a use, I think we do use conditional use permits for churches because a lot of them like to be within residential neighborhoods. And is it a residential use? Is it not? So we have allowed that throughout. But except for that particular provision, the board is really not to consider religious issues. You had an issue several years ago where a group from the Islamic faith wanted to create a particular area for them, and they wanted to have a church and a school, and several questions came up at that time as to whether that should be allowed, and Melinda Raley was the deputy city attorney that attended the meeting that night, and her comment after several questions, several times, was the issue for the board of directors is whether this is compatible with city zoning. The Fair Housing Act from the federal court, from the United States government, and the Fair Housing Act from the Arkansas state government both expressly state that there can be no discrimination in housing based upon religion. It includes other factors, but that specific one is in there. So how do we deal with that? The city has an anti-discrimination ordinance. In general, I'm not sure that it actually would apply to a zoning situation. It deals mainly with vendors and city programs, and my question is, would a zoning decision be considered a city program? I just don't know the answer. But I do know this, there is a state housing commission and there's a federal housing commission, and they have enforcement authorities and investigative authorities that the city does not have. So were the city to take action because of a particular religion wishing to develop an area and either grant it or deny it based upon religion, it would be an illegal action by the city. And if the entity that is given authority to do a development decides that they're not going to let people live there unless they were of a particular religion, then they're going to be subject to violation of the Fair Housing Act and the State Housing Act, and I think those provisions would be set aside.
Okay, so specifically, if you're a religious organization and you want to sell lots to somebody that is your like religion, and that's it, can a religious organization do that?
If they own all the land, they can sell it to the people in their church, for example, but they can't limit it to the people in their church. And
Okay.
if they get a legitimate offer from somebody who's not a member, if they refuse to sell to them simply because of that religion, that's a federal and state law violation.
Okay, thank you.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.